Ryan Kaji's parents didn't just fumble the bag, they torched it. These two ordinary parents took their 3-year-old, turned him into a walking ATM, and built a billion-dollar empire on his smile. But the same empire that made them rich is now eating them alive. Overnight, the Kajis went from the perfect family to a punchline of greed. Their $10 million movie flopped harder than any influencer project in history. The channel that once pulled 1 billion views now struggles to hit 100,000. And behind those plastic smiles is a kid who looks done, emotionally checked out, trapped in a brand built on his childhood. And while everyone was wondering where Ryan went, his parents were already grooming the next act, his 7-year-old twin sisters. What began as family fun has turned into something darker, a collapsing empire built on children who never got a choice. This is the story of how greed finally caught up to Ryan's world, and why the internet's favorite child star may be the next to disappear. Because to understand how the Kajis lost everything, we have to go back to where the money machine was born, the day a toy unboxing became a business plan. Before the scandals, before the empire, there was just a toddler and a toy. A random video of Ryan opening a Lego set in 2015. Nothing fancy, no lighting, no script. But what came next would rewrite what it means to be a family channel. That one innocent upload exploded. Sponsors swarmed. Toy companies saw dollar signs, and the Kajis saw an opportunity. Luan quit her job as a chemistry teacher. Cheyenne left his engineering career. Together, they turned their home into a factory, not for toys, but for content. Every corner of the house became a set. Every day became a shoot. Ryan wasn't a child anymore, he was the product. At their peak, the Kajis were producing up to 25 videos a week, across multiple channels. That's more than most adult creators could survive. Lights, camera, playtime, on repeat, until play didn't feel like play anymore. Behind the scenes, Sunlight Entertainment, the family's own media company, grew into a 30-person production crew. Their living room turned into a green screen studio. Their vacations turned into sponsored vlogs. Everything from brushing teeth to celebrating birthdays became monetized moments. And while the Kajis called it family fun, critics called it what it really was: child labor without a contract. Because here's the twist, the law had nothing to say about YouTube Kids. Unlike Hollywood child actors protected by the Coogan Act, Ryan had zero legal claim to a single dollar he made. Every sponsorship, every toy deal, every cent, all under his parents' names. Mom and dad weren't just parents anymore. They were the managers, producers, and owners of the brand. Ryan was a kid in front of the camera, but legally, he owned nothing. The millions he earned didn't belong to Ryan. They belonged to the business. And like every business built on borrowed innocence, the Kajis were about to cross a line. Because before the money truly exploded, they had already committed the one act that would define their empire: deception. Before the fame hit its peak, the Kajis were already playing dirty. Because while the world saw a sweet family channel, the truth was, Ryan's world started bending the rules from day one. And soon, they weren't just making content, they were breaking laws. By 2019, the Kajis weren't just dominating YouTube, they were everywhere. Ryan's face was on Walmart toys, toothpaste, backpacks, pajamas, even a Macy's parade balloon. But there was one problem: a massive portion of that content wasn't real playtime. It was disguised advertising. The Federal Trade Commission, FTC, launched an investigation after consumer watchdogs accused Ryan's channel of deceptively marketing to kids. Nearly 90% of his videos contained sponsored content, toys, and brands his parents were being paid to promote, without any disclosure. To a 5-year-old viewer, it just looked like fun, but to the FTC, it looked like manipulation. Think about it. Millions of children watching a kid their age, believing he genuinely loved every toy he touched, when, in reality, each favorite was another paid deal. Consumer advocates called it advertising dressed as playtime. The backlash was brutal. Public outrage forced the Kajis to rebrand from Ryan's Toy Review to Ryan's World, a move that was less about ethics and more about survival. It was like renaming a casino to the Happy Money Adventure Zone. Different name, same business model. But deception wasn't new to this family. Dig a little deeper, and you find out the empire's foundation was shady long before YouTube fame. Because Luan Kaji, Ryan's mom, had a criminal record for shoplifting. She was arrested back in 2003 for stealing clothes from a J.C. Penney store, years before Ryan was even born. A small crime maybe, but it painted the perfect picture. The Kajis always wanted more than they had, and they were willing to cross lines to get it. And once money started flowing, that instinct didn't change. It just scaled. Only now, they weren't taking from stores, they were taking from their own kids' innocence. What started as a toy review had become a corporate pipeline disguised as childhood joy. The Kajis weren't storytellers, they were salespeople, and for a while, no one could stop them. But karma doesn't send warnings, it sends invoices. Because soon, the empire they built on deception would start bleeding money faster than they could count it. The downfall had officially begun. For years, the Kajis thought they were untouchable. They had $1 billion brand, sponsors lining up, and more toy deals than they could count. But what they didn't realize was that their entire empire was standing on a digital fault line, and that line was about to crack. In 2020, YouTube got hit with one of the biggest regulatory crackdowns in its history, the COPPA Act, designed to protect children's privacy online. And with that one decision, everything the Kajis built came crashing down. The rules were simple. No more personalized ads on content aimed at kids. No more data tracking. No more secret targeting of 5-year-olds with toy commercials disguised as entertainment. To regular creators, it was a headache. To the Kajis, it was a death sentence. Their audience was kids. Their income depended on targeted ads. And overnight, YouTube's algorithm, the same machine that once made them rich, stopped recommending their videos entirely. Luan Kaji herself admitted it. "We lost nearly 70% of our income overnight." 70%. That's not a dip. That's a financial amputation. The family who once earned millions per upload suddenly found themselves struggling for clicks. New videos that once reached 1 billion views barely scraped past 100,000. The algorithm had moved on, the audience had grown up, and the same kid who once ruled YouTube was now being buried by it. To make matters worse, sponsorships dried up. Brands no longer wanted to gamble on channels under legal scrutiny. Even toy companies quietly pulled back, distancing themselves from what was quickly becoming a PR nightmare. For the first time, the Kajis had to face a world where Ryan wasn't enough. The machine that once printed money was now burning it. The unstoppable YouTube empire had finally met its reckoning. In less than a year, the Kajis went from being the richest family on the platform to watching their revenue bleed out in real time. But the financial collapse was only half the story, because while their bank account took a hit, their son took something far worse. The next chapter wasn't about money anymore. It was about damage you can't measure in dollars. Money problems can be fixed. But what happens when the damage isn't financial? It's psychological. Because behind the cameras, behind the billion-view smiles, Ryan Kaji wasn't thriving. He was drained. As Ryan entered his teens, something changed. The spark that once made millions of kids tune in every morning was fading. In early videos, he's laughing, shouting, running around the house. Now, he stares blankly into the camera, eyes half open, voice monotone, like he's reading from a script he's too tired to care about. Ryan's world parents just lost. Fans noticed first. Comments shifted from, "He's so cute," to, "Why does he look so sad?" Reddit threads began calling it what it was, a child who looks done. One viewer wrote, "It feels wrong watching him, like child labor on screen." Even his classmates saw it. A supposed school acquaintance claimed Ryan barely talks about YouTube and doesn't have many friends. And when interviewers bring up his fame, he shuts down, polite, quiet, emotionally absent. He's a brand mascot who wants to be invisible. Meanwhile, his parents keep up the act, dressing in costumes, cracking jokes, doing high-energy bits, while Ryan forces a smile beside them. It's not family fun anymore, it's performance. A 13-year-old boy pretending to be the same excited toddler the algorithm fell in love with. It's haunting to watch, a child aging out of his own persona while his parents refuse to notice. Social media called it the Free Ryan movement, a mix of sympathy and outrage. People started asking, does he even want this anymore? Because if the money is gone and the joy is gone, what's left but pressure? Ryan's smile built an empire, but that smile isn't free. It's the mask of a kid who grew up on camera, learned to monetize his emotions, and lost himself in the process. And yet, even as Ryan fades from the spotlight, his parents aren't done. Because if the golden child stops shining, there's always another battery to replace him. The twins are next. After the ad revenue collapse, the Kajis had one last card to play. They weren't ready to fade into obscurity, not after tasting billionaire fame. So they did what desperate people always do when they start losing relevance. They went all in. In 2024, the Kajis released a $10 million feature film, Ryan's World the Movie, Titan Universe Adventure. Ryan's World, Parents Just Lost. It was supposed to be their grand comeback, the next Paw Patrol, as insiders bragged. They promised fans a blockbuster experience, heroes, explosions, the Ryan brand on the big screen. But when the lights dimmed and the trailers rolled, audiences didn't show up. The movie grossed just $624,000 worldwide. That's a loss of roughly $9.5 million, a financial crater so deep it nearly took their production company with it. Critics called it a 90-minute YouTube video pretending to be cinema. Parents walked out. Children got bored. Even loyal fans said it felt like a toy commercial on steroids. And the worst part? Ryan looked done. You can see it in the promotional clips. A teenager delivering lines like a hostage forced to reenact his childhood one last time. The energy that built a YouTube empire was gone, replaced by awkward green screen acting and tired catchphrases. The internet noticed immediately. Commentary channels mocked the Kajis for burning millions to prove they still matter. Reddit threads called it karma in 4K. Even mainstream media picked up on the failure, a symbol of just how fast influencer empires can crash once the views stop. The film that was meant to save them became their public execution, a $10 million monument to greed, and the moment the world realized the Kajis had finally run out of magic. But instead of taking the hint and letting Ryan go, they did something worse. They looked for replacements. Because if one child brand dies, why not build two more? And so the spotlight turned toward Ryan's twin sisters, Emma and Kate. When most parents see their child burning out, they hit pause. The Kajis hit upload. Because when Ryan's energy faded and his views dropped, they didn't slow down, they rebooted the brand. And this time, the stars weren't Ryan at all. They were his little twin sisters, Emma and Kate. In 2022, the Kajis quietly launched a spin-off channel called EK World, the Emma and Kate universe, a bright pastel version of Ryan's World built to capture the next generation of preschool viewers. At first, it looked harmless. Two adorable kids playing with toys, smiling on camera, but the pattern was unmistakable. The same music, the same editing style, even the same brand partnerships recycled under new faces. It wasn't family content anymore, it was franchise cloning. Reddit and YouTube commentators were quick to call it out. Ryan's tired, so they made new Ryans. Some even speculated the Kajis had planned this, grooming the twins from birth to keep the business alive when Ryan aged out. And when you look at the timing, it's hard to argue. As soon as Ryan turned 12 and started disappearing from thumbnails, the twins took his place, cheerful, uncomplaining, marketable. The videos show it clearly. Emma and Kate dressed in matching outfits, reenacting Ryan's old skits, surrounded by toy logos and brand jingles. Their parents call it a new adventure. The internet calls it child labor 2.0. And here's the chilling part. These aren't normal childhood moments. The shoots are professionally lit. The lines are scripted. Each video is a polished ad pretending to be playtime. Even their giggles sound rehearsed. Comment sections became flooded with outrage. Did they really just replace Ryan with his sisters? Those kids didn't even get a chance to not be famous. Others compared the Kajis to stage parents in the worst sense, the kind who see kids as content inventory. What's happening here isn't family entertainment anymore. It's legacy exploitation, a production line where childhood gets recycled for clicks. Ryan's burnout should have ended the story. Instead, it became a blueprint. The Kajis learned nothing, except that kids are replaceable when the audience moves on. But what happens when even the replacements stop working? When the twins can't carry the empire, and the audience finally walks away? That's when desperation turns to embarrassment, and the Kajis try one last unthinkable trick to stay relevant. By now, even the Kajis could tell the magic was gone. Ryan didn't want to play pretend anymore, and the twins weren't pulling in numbers. So instead of facing the music, they tried something unthinkable, replacing their kids with themselves. That's right. When the child stars grew tired, the parents stepped in. Wearing costumes, As Ryan started focusing on school and appeared less in videos, Cheyenne and Loanne launched a bizarre new era for the channel, one where grown adults played superheroes, pirates, and cartoon mascots in front of a green screen. Cheyenne dressed as Combo Panda. Loanne wore ridiculous outfits and acted out skits meant for preschoolers. They even launched a side channel called The Studio Space, where the parents and staff performed slapstick sketches and challenges, sometimes without any kids at all. It was supposed to transition the brand into family entertainment. Instead, it looked like a midlife crisis filmed in 4K. The videos became a fever dream of forced smiles, bad costumes, and desperate overacting. Adults pretending to be cartoons, shouting at the camera like they were auditioning for a kids' show no one asked for. Even the editing screamed panic. Bright colors, high-pitched jingles, and fake enthusiasm, replacing what used to be genuine energy. Viewers immediately noticed. Comments flooded in, "Who asked for this? This feels like a hostage video." They're acting like kids because their real kid grew up. The numbers told the same story. A channel that once pulled 100 million views per video was now struggling to break 50,000. One video, "I built a secret gaming van to hide from my boss," barely scraped 13,000 views in a month. That's not a drop, that's public humiliation. Every costume, every awkward laugh, every painfully scripted skit made it clearer. The Kajis weren't creators anymore. They were actors trapped in a dying brand. The adult replacement era became their most embarrassing chapter yet. It proved what fans had known all along. The audience never loved Ryan's World for the concept. They loved Ryan. Without him, there was nothing left but cringe. And that's when the empire finally started to collapse for real. Because when the audience stops laughing with you and starts laughing at you, there's no coming back. The next segment? The collapse, when the views, money, and illusion all disappear at once. By 2023, the empire was unrecognizable. Ryan's World, once the unstoppable machine that could sell out Walmart shelves overnight, was now a ghost town. The algorithm had abandoned them, the audience had moved on, and the Kajis were stuck performing for a crowd that no longer existed. After the failed movie, the desperate adult skits, and the backlash over exploiting the twins, the family tried one last rebrand, the Hawaii Defense. They sold the narrative of a fresh start, announcing their move from Texas to Hawaii in 2021 for a healthier lifestyle and Ryan's well-being. But insiders and Reddit threads saw right through it. The move wasn't about well-being, it was about damage control. Behind the tropical smiles was a financial mess. The Kajis had overextended themselves, a 30-person production staff, luxury homes, and massive operational costs. When the ad revenue vanished, those bills didn't. They had traded Texas for paradise, just as their cash flow evaporated. In Hawaii, they tried to frame it as a simpler life, but the content didn't match. Videos filmed in their Honolulu mansion showed the same polished chaos. The twins playing, the parents pretending everything was fine, and a tired Ryan awkwardly smiling beside them. To the audience, it felt forced. To critics, it looked like denial. And then came the final blow: viewership collapse. By 2022, Ryan's World rarely broke 500,000 views, a catastrophic drop for a channel with 30+ million subscribers. Ryan's World parents just lost. Even the algorithm seemed embarrassed. Every upload sank faster than the last. What used to be a billion-view phenomenon was now pulling numbers smaller than indie vloggers. Comment sections turned brutal. They should have stopped years ago. It's just sad now. They're still trying to sell happiness that no one's buying. The illusion of family fun had finally shattered. The world saw what it really was, a corporation disguised as a family. In the end, the Kajis didn't lose everything because of one scandal or one bad decision. They lost because they built their fortune on something that doesn't last: childhood. And when that ran out, so did the magic. Today, the Kajis still live in their Hawaiian mansion, clinging to brand deals and nostalgia. But the world has moved on. Their story isn't a mystery anymore. It's a warning. A reminder that when you turn your child into a business, the day will come when the business collapses, and the child has to live with what's left. Because fame fades, money fades, but the damage of being raised for content, that never goes away. The cameras are still rolling, the toys are still stacked, and somewhere behind the stage lights, Ryan Kaji is counting the years. Because the truth is, the real ending hasn't happened yet. Ryan is only 17. When he turns 18, around 2029 or 2030, everything changes. That's when he'll finally own his name, his face, his story. That's when he can choose to speak or sue. And if the internet has taught us anything, it's that the truth always comes out. There's already talk of laws being rewritten because of kids like him. The kidfluencer laws that protect child creators from parents who pocket every cent. Ryan's world parents just lost. Illinois has passed one. Other states are next. History is shifting, and Ryan's story is the catalyst. The Kajis built an empire on their child's innocence. But in doing so, they created the very system that will one day hold them accountable. When Ryan turns 18, the world won't be asking, what toy is he unboxing? It'll be asking, what was it like to live your childhood on camera? And when that day comes, when Ryan finally speaks, we won't be watching a YouTube video. We'll be watching justice. So maybe the real story of Ryan's world isn't about toys or fame. It's about what happens when you monetize childhood and then run out of childhood to sell. Because fame built on innocence is like a sandcastle, impressive, temporary, and doomed the moment the tide comes in. And when that tide finally hits, there's no merch deal, no mansion, and no apology big enough to stop it. The Kajis turned their son into content, and the internet never forgets content. The camera's still rolling, but for once, maybe it's time they finally turn it off.